Okay, folks, good morning. Off to a later start than normal, about an hour. I overslept. It happens. It very rarely happens, and it's okay to happen on a weekend. I needed the sleep, to be honest with you. I got like 3.5 hours of sleep the night before, so. Okay. This is the next to the last. Hun Lice Horseman here. We're going to need one of these nearby. I really don't want to put this up here. It's a recipe for disaster. Okay. So after we get this guy done, there'll be one more to do, and then we can base all three of these stands, and we just have the commander to do, the commander stand. All right. What else we got to go on this guy? We got the whole thing that his arrows fit in. His hat. This guy's kind of a unique look. He's got, his eyes are standing out, which means you gotta paint him. It's either that, or if you don't paint his eyes, it's like he's got them closed. Their eyes stick out, and on the eyelids are just sticking way out of his head. Yeah, it might be a slow morning. I hope not. It'll be easy for me to get distracted and do something else then. Let's see what this looks like. Nah. Let's see. What else is around it? Okay. Something in the hat's going to be this color. Maybe something a little bit. Okay. I had somebody make me one of these. What color I want to make them? Mr. Ben, first one on the scene. Welcome. Welcome. Little bit of a late start for me. I ended up oversleeping an hour, which, honestly, considering I only got like 3 hours of sleep the night before, probably a good thing. Probably a good thing it happened. I don't need to oversleep an hour tomorrow morning, which, I'd still make it to work on time, but I don't want to be rushed. That's one of the things I like the most on the weekend is don't rush me. Don't rush me to convention either. The other thing is a lot of people don't do this, but certain individuals do this. I'm trying to. How do I not say that? Do this? Yes, they do this. They'll ask you a question while in the middle of answering it. They're already asking another question. Reminds me of like something a snotling little kid would do. Hey, why is the sky blue? Well, it's because, and why is the sun yellow? And well, I was gonna, and then what? Yeah. Why did your dad have you? Or why did your mom have you? Yesterday, the weather wasn't too bad here. I spent a good amount of it outside, and it wasn't too terrible. Can't wait till I can paint something different. It's coming up soon. And I shouldn't say that because it's not that I don't want to paint these guys. I just don't want to paint these guys right this moment. Just this moment. Despite how wonderful these figures are, because they really are. These forged in battle figures are a delight. I've never heard of anybody play their game though. If they do, they keep it on the hush hush. Because whatever something at Empires, whatever their game is called. Not that I would play it, I'm just, I think I saw like a little write-up or something on it, or maybe an example PDF or something like that of the rules, and they were very figure heavy, which would make sense because they're trying to sell figures. Kind of makes sense. Mr. Dirk, welcome. Weekend's almost over for you. Oh, I want to bring that up. It'll be my turn soon. You get to work from home. It's a weekend, every day. Am I planning on doing a walk around at the con? I am planning on doing that. That's extremely fun to do. Now, I'm going to warn you. Our con is extremely small compared to Historicon. But, yes, I plan on doing that. Yep. And I got too many things I'd like to play at this con. And they overlap. There's 2 sessions that I am signed up to play something else that is not DBA. They just happen to offer it at time periods where it was DBA games that I wasn't running. One of them is a 25 millimeter game, so I won't play in that. And the other one is a big battle, like historical game, so I'm not going to play in that. And it just so happens that I'm running both of those games during those times. And then this other guy that I know who hasn't run a game in a very long time, possibly 7 or 8 years, said that he was running his game in the same session of one of the other ones I'm signed up. So I don't know what I'm going to do on that one. I may just go and, I don't know, because his game's a World War II game. And it doesn't use my set of rules, but it's individual man type thing. So we'll see how that plays out. But too many, yeah, it's too wet is what this is. Too many things to choose from. Too many things to choose from. But it's extremely small compared to Historicons, especially in the vendor department. But I don't really go to shows to buy stuff. shows to buy stuff, but which reminds me, another thing I got to do this week is I got to see if I can try to get the gimbal working. The gimbal's fine. It's the software that's the. Apparently, the software that was for it was taken off the Play Store or something like that. So I got to find if there's like an alternative one. If not, that'll be just as bumpy as it was at Historicon. I'd rather it not be that way. Got a lot of stuff to do this week. You know, that doesn't involve this painting. Okay, that's good enough for that. A lot of stuff to do. A lot of stuff I don't want to do. And that feeling it's going to be a pain in the ass to take one day off work. It just shouldn't be that difficult. Okay. All right, the hat. And this guy looks like a panhandler wearing this hat. Based on that, I'm going to use this color. See if I can find it. Is it back there? I hope not. Let me move this out of the way a little bit. There we go. No, it wasn't the color I was going to use, but that might work. It's a color from Cote d'Arms. This one. Made in the UK, and they got the little flag on there and everything. Wonder if anybody got offended by that. Or is that just a US phenomenon? They get offended by the US flag. I'm sure it's a person issue. Those people get offended by anything. I rather like the Union Jack. I think it's a sexy flag. Need to keep the UK together just so you can keep the flag. You know, like if Scotland leaves, do they take the blue with them? Flag doesn't look so good then. Okay, I don't think I want to use this brush because we need to save this for special mission. That's also a special mission brush. Yeah. There we go. I'm gonna call this homeless brown, homeless drab. This happened here with people being offended by a flag. Same people then hoisted up a Palestinian flag on a town hall for some bizarre reason. Yeah. There's must be a thing that people escape. They go to a better place, right? So they leave their homeland to a place that's better. I'm sure this happens in the UK. And, my parents were immigrants. I might need some more coffee because I'm going to do some deep thought stuff. No, it's not deep thought stuff. It's obvious thought stuff. You leave your homeland to go somewhere better, right? Makes sense. My parents did. You don't have to forget who you are, but you don't need to vote and turn your new place into all of the bad stuff that your homeland turned into, which caused you to leave in the first place. And we see that happen here in the States. We'll see people that come from states that have a lot more government and I don't want to say oppression, but they have a lot more big brother than our state. And then, they can't live there. And then they come here and then they vote for the same stuff that's going to try to cause the same problems here. It's like, are you freaking blind? Are you completely blind? So, if you want a lot of government oversight, go to New York or California or something like that. But my parents never forgot where they were from, and they were proud of that. But my dad also thought the world of this country. So, we'd speak Spanish at home and stuff like that. But he loved this country. And as a matter of fact, he doesn't want to go back. He didn't want to go back to where he was from because, that's a lost cause. And likewise, I won't visit there either. Ever. So. There's a lot of blind people walking around. I don't know whether it's. What is the. If you're offended by the country, the flag of the country that you live in, you shouldn't live in that country. Just leave. All right, I don't think we need any more of this. I think we're good. Okay, he has a little bit of his helmet, no, of his hat that's turned up, and I feel like I need to make that a lighter color to make it pop. So I'm just going to pretend it's the same color. It's just inside out, so we will lighten this up with these same colors that are here. Because it's convenient and plausible. maybe a little bit more. Mr. Patriot, good morning. Happy Sunday morning. Glad to have you with us again. The next to the last Hun. I'm out of cafe. I need to get some. I'll be right back. I'm not offended by flags I don't like. You know, if you see a flag of another nation and you're in the other nation, well, what do you expect? If you see a flag of another nation and you're in Epcot, what do you expect? If you see a flag of another nation that's oppressive and some moron is flying it in this country and you're wondering why are you doing that because you're an idiot, I'm not offended. I just think you're an idiot. And you've proven I have nothing to say to you. Flags of other nations don't bother me as much as flags of ideas. For instance, I can't stand anything with a raised fist. I can't. Because it's not a country that you're from or something. It's this idea of, it's a communist freaking thing. I just can't stand it. So I actually know a guy on Facebook that actually did a pretty cool thing. He changed his profile picture to a little resistor. You know, I'm old enough that I know what those look like. You know, a little ceramic one. I'm like, hey, that's a good alternative to a communist raised fist. You know. But none of it offends me. It tells me everything I need to know about you. Okay, we need to do stirrups here. Hair, well, hair's a no-brainer. Like there's some of these guys, for instance, that the little symbols they can have on them. They have like a swastika symbol you can use. I'm not going to use that on there. It doesn't look right. I mean, I don't care if they used it. It didn't look right. One of my Hindu units does have a swastika on his shield, but man, it's done in a different style and all that. But I'm not putting it on these guys. It just doesn't. It doesn't look. It doesn't bother me. It just doesn't go. So we've got other things to choose from. We don't have to resort to that. I pulled out some decals the other day, and I got all kinds of my stuff from 1/35th scale and modeling I have. I got like decal sheets of the crooked spider. You know, they don't bother me. It's not like I'm not going to go paste them all over stuff. It's not that doesn't go. But I remember I'd used airplane models, and it was annoying that it didn't come with them on there. So, if you're going to build a plane, you kind of have to put the crooked spider on the tail. That's what they did. That's what those guys were fighting for. So you gotta be accurate. The crooked spider people. Next time somebody says that, I'm going to have to remember that. It says, "Do you like spiders?" I said, "I only dislike the crooked spiders." They're probably going to look at me like I don't know what I'm talking. Like, what the hell are you talking about? I said, "Go watch the movie. You know what I'm talking about." Okay. We got some kind of lassoing and shit down here. A roping. Hun roping. Including a spot that has no primer on it, looks like. Just a tiny little one that escaped. Aha. Okay. And this buff color should work nicely for that. It's a ropish color. There's a guy who did a video about Historicon, and he was complaining. He made several videos of them. I think I watched the first one, and I'm like, oh, this is his crusade. Everybody has a crusade. I'm not sure I know what mine is, but I'm sure I have one. I don't think it's political, but main my crusade is playing a game where there's not perfect alignment and contacting. I don't know. That this guy's crusade was, he was complaining about one of the vendors at Historicon. There's always been a vendor at Historicon, and he had offensive shirts on. And it's one thing to be offended by shirts, but if they had the equivalent shirts of a political opinion that this guy agreed with, he wouldn't be complaining about them after listening to him. So, don't buy them. I mean, I wouldn't wear a shirt that had a German unit symbol on it. As cool as the German symbol units are, and I'm not talking about the ones with the lightning bolts. I'm talking about, just like a normal thing. It just sends the wrong message. You know, what's the term I heard for them one time? The people that follow all the German shit. There's a name for it that I heard in the last 3 years that I thought was kind of a unique sounding name. But anyhow, I wouldn't wear any of those. It sends the wrong message to people that don't know me. I don't want to be defined by a shirt. Wear some kind of shirt on or clothing, and people already figured out what you are based on that. It could be wrong, but wearaboo. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, wearaboo. Yeah. What is that stuff? People that worship German shit? I don't know. I mean, German shit's cool. Don't get me wrong. But you got to realize, those guys are rat bastards. You got to understand, you know. Um, I don't mind playing them in a war game and winning, but I don't want them to, I don't want them to I don't want them to win the war. I don't want the communists to win the war either, but I definitely don't want I don't want the Germans to win the war. Not in the second one. Wearaboo. Yeah, that may be the word. And we always played German stuff growing up. Their stuff is cool. They got cool names. They have a cool equipment and everything, but they're fighting for a bad cause. You know, it's not. It's not just payback for losing the first one. It's bad shit. But they make excellent bad guys. Excellent, excellent bad guys. So I got a lot of their stuff to paint up. Wearaboo. Yeah, I remember going to some show and this person was, I must have been playing him in Flames of War or something like that. And they had a Hitler Jugend shirt or something like that. It didn't have anything on it. It just had on their symbol. Is there a Hitler Jugend or First SS? Those guys are one's a the Hitler Jugend is a break off symbol from the First SS, and I'm like, what if some veteran sees you? What if some veteran that had all his buddies, freaking shot in the head by those guys? How do you live with yourself wearing that shit? It's one thing, wearing like a 8th Air Force shirt here and somebody gets offended by that, but I'm not wearing the symbols of some German unit, and much less a German unit that was proud of committing war crimes when war crimes weren't committed to them. Because I there's a difference, in my opinion, in if you're fighting on, say, the Eastern Front and both of you are committing war crimes to each other. Or, you do something like what happened to the Canadians. With the freaking, was it 12th SS that killed all the fucking Canadians? And then the Canadians were like, well, if that's how it's going to be, then we're not going to capture any of these guys. Hey, I think that's fair, And Canadians are nice. They're actually too nice. So why would you do that to those people? Yeah, wearaboo comes from weeaboo, which is a nonsense word from a web comic. Weeaboo is used for people obsessed with Japan, so they modify it for various groups. I didn't know that. Japanese obsessions. Japan's just, it's an anomaly. It's I mean, I love Japanese cars. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Japanese car fan. Not every Japanese car, just the cars I like happen to be Japanese. But that's where it stops. Okay, don't get at anything else. So Confederate fanboys are called Leaboos. That's awesome. Hardcore British people are called Teaboos. Teaboos. Awesome. Hardcore. Leaboos. That's great. Japanese are really, really eccentric. It's just a different. I don't like anime or any. I mean, it doesn't look right, you know? It's not what it. And they got that weird stuff like freaking. I mean, they got weird stuff here too, but, front and center is stuff like, schoolgirls fighting zombies instead of like having like cool samurai shit. I mean, you could do all kinds of cool samurai shit that would be like interesting, No, they don't do that. Leaboos. That's funny. Didn't know that. Webcomic, huh? Homework assignment time. Oh, man. Teaboo. So that's like uber jingoistic, huh? Yeah, wearaboo. That's probably what it. That's probably the one it was. Is there that many people like that? I just thought they were cool. Just uniforms and equipment. That's it. Nothing else. The comic is called Perry Bible Fellowship. Well, that doesn't sound like something I'd pick up and read. Actually, now I think about it, it might get reprinted in some newspapers. Wow. Perry Bible Fellowship sounds like something it would have a limited run and it would only have it in Utah. Hey, you learn something new every day. Yeah, so anyways, getting back to it, I'm not wearing one of those unit shirt things. I don't think it should be illegal to sell them. I just think they're in bad taste. I'm not offended by them. I just think that they're in bad taste. You have a belt hiding in there somewhere? No. You got to call out bad shit when you see it. Like, for instance, these guys. I have no illusions that the Huns are the freaking bad guys every time. I mean, who do the Huns fight that you would consider a better folks than them? I can't think of anybody. So I'm perfectly happy calling these guys the bad guys, and we will try to bring these bad guys to victory. But if the Huns took over the world would not be a better place. Same thing with the Mongols. I am not a Mongol lover. And man, there's many. The only good thing I'll say about the Mongols is at least they gave you a chance to surrender. Now, if somebody knocks on your door and says, hey, listen, you need to leave your house or I'm going to get rid of you. Everybody's going to basically throw the door in their face. Nobody's going to voluntarily leave their house. So yeah, if you put up a fight against the Mongols and you don't win, yeah, you got problems. You're going to take a vacation somewhere you don't want to go. But at least they asked. At least they asked. Almost done with this fellow. Almost done. Yeah, I didn't appreciate losing an hour of my morning, but that's okay. It's more important to stay on task. I got enough time to get this done. It's just motivation to... No, I clipped that guy and I got to repaint that. Well, it doesn't happen very often. It really doesn't. And I should have some right here. We got to do something. We can go ahead and do this now. We have this little thing that's tied around his tail. A ponytail holder, literally. Man, this strange stomach sounds. I make my own sound effects. let's make a blend for the mane and tail with some black in it. But then we need to add, this brown would probably do fine. Well, how about any brown that's alive? I'm not that picky on which one of these it needs to be, as we're going to lighten it up some. How do you even find out about a webcomic, man? I don't even. I guess you encounter things along the way. But I get it. A lot of things that get suggested to me on Facebook and I don't check on them. I'm like, oh, great, another reel by something I'm not interested in. Now we're going to take more of this. Add that in there. Make sure we don't mess up his face. That would take some time to correct. I'd rather not spend that time doing that. That time could be used to paint another guy that still isn't complete. There we go. Now we'll add a little bit of this. I really do enjoy painting horses. And considering I haven't always painted horses, I didn't paint my first horse until pretty late. I mean, it's been a while now, but things change. I used to hate painted faces. If you're disappointed every time you paint something, you're not going to want to paint something. All right, I think I'm going to need to get some new buff or Iraqi sand or one of those for do the this stuff's too dry for the stirrups. You Rocky Sand. Iraqui. They spelled it the same and as they did in Spanish. And then the hooves, and we're done with this guy. Been reading that the book on called Kiev 41 by David Stahl, or having it read to me, as I like to say. And considering it's not a military operation book like I was expecting, it has a lot of economic factors of things that I don't really think about. It's pretty interesting, but I wish you'd get to the battle, damn it. That's what I got the book for. But I don't think of economic stuff as important or isn't. I'm interested in reading stuff for the purpose of what vehicles were where and what did they do and what kind of stuff happened. I'm more of a soup dead, but I'm several hours in and it still hasn't even come close to where it's getting to where it is, but got all kinds of stuff in there that I never thought about before. Hopefully that doesn't lead me down the path of wanting to get a video game like War in the East or whatever. Next thing I know, I'm moving all these counters around on the... Well, it'll be a computer game, so I could stop at any time, but... I'm not really interested in books that are really strategic. I don't want to play games that are very strategic. I'm a tactics guy, and not really interested in doing these big grandiose type of operations. All right, now I know I put all these paints away yesterday to clear my area. Let's see where I left the hoof brown, the stone. I think it's this one. Yep. But I guess a lot of people are interested in very strategic. I'm not. Hmm. Here's the advantage of using this to blend epoxy, is I can reuse this every time. But I don't like to even research things that are that strategic. I like to research things like, I was talking about it the other day. I've got this Sherman tank made by a company called Armor Fast, yeah. And it's just a straight M4 Sherman, and I bought it when I wasn't really aware of what does what Sherman or what have you, a little bit to a little degree, and which one's this one and which one's the other one. These were used by who, and such and such. But all that information now with the internet is, this is kind of my renaissance of World War II, because now I have the internet with World War II. When I was really into World War II, there was no internet, or it was around 2000. So a lot of stuff has changed. We've got access to so many things now compared to back then, and I'd do a little exercise, like, for instance, okay, I'm missing the mantlet on one of them. So I'm like, well, I don't want to buy another two, because they come in packs of two. Or if I do, then I've still got one I can't use. So where can I get a spare mantlet? Well, there's a company called Plastic Soldier Company that frequently makes multiple versions of the same vehicle in the same pack, and you can't build them all. Like, they'll do some that have a 76 millimeter gun turret or a 75, and when you build the 76, you don't need the mantlet for the 75. So there you go. I need to find one of those. So I kind of went down a rabbit hole, a fun rabbit hole, of finding out, okay, which models had extra turrets and so forth. And at least in 20 millimeter, I'd have to buy some Commonwealth ones, M4A2s. The M4A2 set of those comes with both turrets. So I'm like, all right, well, who used the M4A2s? And I already knew that the Russians did, and I'm not painting Russian vehicles with U.S. armor. It just looks weird, It just looks odd. I don't need to do it for that. And Marines used them. I'm not really interested in anything in the Pacific. The British used them in Italy. So then I started looking a little bit further, and I'm like, all right, so if I buy one of those, I've got 3 British Shermans I could do. And then I'll have one of the turrets. As long as I make one 76 millimeter armed, then I should have an extra 75 millimeter mantlet to use for my armor cast Sherman. And I started thinking, nobody games Italy. I mean, it's so rare to see an Italy game. And man, I got lots of Brits to paint, so maybe I'll do my Brits for Italy. So anyways, I found out the British 1st Armor Division was out there. They have that cool rhino symbol. And I'm like, and the Brits have a way of taking all U.S. hardware and making them look better with their paint schemes, in my opinion. So, hey, maybe that's a way forward. But I got a lot of vehicles I need to paint before I get to that. But I may not buy any 15s for a long time. I don't really need to. So I got a lot of these vehicles to do. I think I pretty much got them all built at this point. stuff that I had for 25 years that was in various stages of disrepair or unfinishedness. So when we get done with the convention, we're going to be hopping up on that. I don't know what's happening. This did never happen. I think there's just too much water that's still in here. It's causing drip issues, but there's a lot of really useful information on the Flames of War website, even though I think the game is not geared for me. But there's a lot of, like there was a whole breakdown of like different British armor divisions and which regiments were in there and what the symbols they had on them. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. And I recognize all of them because I used to do 1/35th scale stuff. But they do a good job of explaining it in an easy to digest format. So you could wrap your head around, oh, okay. The ones that use this symbol actually are an independent unit, not necessarily part of a division. That kind of stuff. So I remember when I was a kid and I was doing micro armor in the desert, I could never wrap my head around why Matildas weren't in the 7th Armored Division. I'm like, yeah, because they're infantry tank brigades, not, the cruisers are in the Armored Division. Stuff like that you don't know because, that information just isn't readily available. You're not going to find stuff like that, like in a book you pick up off a bookstore. Now the internet should make us all smarter, right? Okay. I think we need to do something to his muzzle over here, but all right, we're going to call this guy done for now. One left. All right, we need to get a soda or something like that because I'm like, parched him. Oh, I brought one. I didn't even tell myself. I need a handler. Horse color. All right, we got a light one. Now here's the 3 that are gladiator. And here's the 2 that are not gladiator. This guy's got, I want to do a dark color horse with him, but they're going to go next to one of these other guys. You wouldn't be able to go next to him. It's too dark. I gotta make him a light color horse. Is this guy bare chested? No. Nope. No. And I can't do a really light color. I just haven't seen any steppe ponies that are that color. Not that these really look like steppe ponies, but that's why none of them have socks. You can't find steppe horses that have socks on them. They just don't. The bottom section of the legs are always dark. What if we did something like this? I think we could do this one. And then just maybe not bring it all the way up to this. I think we could do this and look okay. Entrenched Panzer IVs on a small ridge against a swarm of Stuarts across an open valley. Oh, let me read something. I got tempted by World War II yesterday. Okay. Was playing Tank Warfare on the PC and absolutely crushed the US at Chewy Gooey Pass. Tank Warfare, huh? What game is that? Is that on Steam? Chewy Gooey Pass. That was that reminds me of a scenario that I downloaded many years ago that I have this vision that I would love to play one time. And if I could find it, I should pull it out and we can talk about it, because the Chewy Gooey Pass reminded me of it. And it sounds like it's in the same part of the world that you're talking about. Let me give it a shot. It's not there, which means it's probably here. I downloaded this about 20 years ago. And I'm glad I did. No. Misplace this thing again. Probably. Here it is. I'm going to move this over here more front and center. So many years ago, sounds like a freaking M47 on Battle of the Bulge movie. It's on Steam, made by the same guys as Graviteam. You might love it. It's fairly hardcore with every bullet and every shell simulated. Tank Warfare. I've never played the Graviteam Tactics Myas thing. Before I got a computer, real time, it's like it moves too fast. And like I love, as a matter of fact, I cranked it up yesterday and I'm going to do some live plays of it. I love close combat. I I grew up playing that and dig it. And I have not played the Panthers in the Fog. I have not played Roadway to Con, and I've played very little of the third one that everybody seems to hate, and I don't hate it. I think it looks pretty cool. So we might do some live plays of that stuff, but I'm just going to jump in and figure it out as I go. So I'll find out whatever side I think is the least experienced, and that's what I'm going to play. So Panthers in the Fog is a counterattack to Mortan. So I'm probably going to play the bad guys, so, and probably jack up the difficulty way up. And if I don't lose, well, if I lose, they didn't win to begin with. And if you don't know who the bad guys are, well then your heart's in the wrong place. What did you say it was called? Tank Warfare. What a vague named game. Let's take a look at that. Let me look at a screenshot. Tank. Oh, let's go to Steam. Tank Warfare. Tank Warfare. I don't mind individual chewy gooey pass. Oh, that's a real thing. I didn't know that. Tunisia is another place that's overlooked a lot. The coolest thing about Tunisia, I think, is that the U.S. uses weird stuff you don't normally see, and they have yellow stars. Yeah, what happened here? This is super cheap. You keep recommending these super cheap games that are going to be hard to... I never got a chance to play... what's the one where you give your guys orders and then they do their thing all at once, but you can't pause them in the middle of it? I never got a chance to play much of that once. I don't need it. I don't need a history lesson. I know what happened. That's why I'm interested in it. Campaign controls. We'll have to take a look at this. Special promotion. $8 is kind of hard to turn down. Chewy gooey pass. That a real thing? Battle Group Blade. First Tank Battalion attack German positions in the chewy gooey. Oh, that's how it's spelled. Got it. Looks like something to be like in Burma, the way that's spelled. Never even heard about this, but it's kind of a vague name. It wouldn't have caught my attention if it's named vague like that. The complete edition's £5. Yeah. So there's a scenario. There's this thing you could do a long time ago called MagWeb, and MagWeb was a thing where you subscribed, I don't know if it was for a year or something like that, and it was relatively inexpensive, and you had access to all these articles that were in magazines that weren't around anymore. And this one came actually from a magazine called Campaign, and there were some articles from Panzerfaust and stuff like that. This particular article is from 1974. So this is copyright 1974 by Donald S. Lowry. And that's what it is. This is from Panzerfaust / Campaign List of Issues from Panzerfaust 62 from 1974. Well, I was busy shitting in a diaper in 1974. Not really, but close. And this is kind of a skirmish scenario that I would love to play this. You know, it has a little map and everything, but it's dumbed down. And the chewy gooey reminded me because you have the names of these towns are like dumbed down like that. Like for instance, there's one town that's called Gotcha. There's another one called City Boo Boo. You know, Sabeetle. So, but it's cool because there's actually 4 task forces in this, and it's British and Americans and Germans. And One of them, for instance, to give you kind of the scale of what it is, and it gives you kind of a map of what the actual battle looks like, what this fake battle looks like. But here's one of the players had an M3 Lee. This is Task Force Rice. CCA, Combat Command A of U.S. 1st Armored Division, 2nd Corps. You're allotted the following forces: an M3 Lee, a T-12 tank destroyer, which I think, I don't remember it by name, it's got to be the M3 half-track with the 75mm gun in it, and 237mm anti-tank guns with jeeps. 2 squads each with bazookas, BARs. Did they have bazookas in November 42? Maybe they did. And M3 APCs, each having a 50 caliber heavy machine gunner. So one of the guy's forces is a Lee tank, a half-track with a 75mm gun, 2 37mm anti-tank guns with jeeps, and 2 squads. That's not crazy. So, and the British have 26th Armored Brigade, a Stuart, 2 Crusader 3s, which have the 6-pounder in them, and then 2 Recon half Jeeps, and a Bren gun carrier with a 6-pounder. That's pretty reasonable. And it gives you kind of a little background information of these forces. It's even written. Situation. The Yanks, on our right, seem to have had a bit of a row with the Jerrys. And then the Germans are in 2 different forces. Oh no, there's another British force. Cool. They get the survivors. They have a Valentine infantry tank, equivalent of 2 squads walking, and a quad truck with a 25-pounder. This is a cool scenario, but I think it's got too many forces to use my rule set for it. You'd have to use something like chain of command. And the Germans have, a force that has a couple of 222 armored cars. But, there's stuff that's wrong in here, like a heavy armored car 233 with a 75 pack. No, a 233 has a short 75 in it. 2 motorcycles with sidecars and LMGs. 2 Panzer IV F2s and a Panzer IV F1, a 50mm pack with a truck, 2 squads on Hanomaks. And they have a surprise force as a Kubelwagen, a Tiger, 2 Panzer IV Gs, and an LMG squad and a half-track. But it's cool because they have them coming from different forces. But I downloaded a few things like this. Most of the scenarios aren't as cool as this one, but this is an old as shit scenario, But I wouldn't mind building a Valentine. I'm not a fan of Valentines, but I don't have it. None of my Brits are for the desert. But anyways, I think Italy's kind of a forgotten front. So is Sicily, so is Tunisia, and so is the Eastern Front after Kursk in 1943. The Dnieper bridgehead shit. You remember playing the computer game Vulcan on my old Spectrum 128 1988, the whole Tunisian campaign? I don't know that I've played any Tunisian stuff. There was a game called, I don't remember who the designer of it was. And it was done by Talonsoft. and it was a 1 to 5 scale type of game, and you could play, the Russian front, you could play the Pacific, and you could start like you could play certain scenarios, or you could like play like a random battalion or regiment or whatever you wanted to, and kind of get experience and stuff along the way. I thought it was pretty cool. I wish they would redo it with better graphics. The graphics are a little grainy looking. I actually preferred to play it with the unit symbols, like the NATO symbols of stuff. But I played it a little bit, but I think it was a little overwhelming. No, it wasn't John Tiller. It was influenced by John Tiller. I know I've got the manual here. I kept the manual for the Eastern one because it's a freaking gorgeous manual. I don't know if I can find it. Would it be here? I know I didn't get rid of it. Maybe it did get rid of it. It's made by Talonsoft, and I think you could still probably get it, but it just looks too grainy, like the vehicles. You could play it like you're almost moving around little micro armor, and it's definitely influenced by Tiller. I think it's before Tiller, and I liked it a lot actually. It was one of those games where, as soon as I got it, I already knew how to play the game. I just needed to find the pull-down menus that allowed me to do the fire missions and stuff like that. But I know how to, that's what I grew up playing, is that type of game tactics. Like, okay, how far? And you could, like, click on a unit. It would give you the range bands of where it could fire. And I thought it was pretty cool. I wish they would redo. That is a much better game for me than something like Panzer General, which is a little too hokey. But I know I played a Russian unit too. I played like a Russian T-28 or something like that. I wanted to play in a T-28. And you get different victory points for taking different victory objectives. I don't know about the horse color. I kind of feel like this guy should have some kind of white pants. All these guys have these MC Hammer pants. I don't know what's up with that. Let's paint this horse in this color. I forgot it that I bought these the other day. The Games Workshop colors. One game that this guy introduced me to, and I whooped his ass the first time I played it. Because I already knew how to play the game. I just didn't know how to play the game. I don't know if that makes any sense. That was the old V for Victory series. Remember those? It was the Gold Juno Sword and Velikia Luki, and there was one that there was the USB, I think it was called Utah Beach or Utah or something like that. There was a Market Garden one. It's like a counter game, and it's basic looking, but it looks good enough to, even this day, it still looks good enough. And I played those a lot. And the supply system that those games did is awesome. The way they handled supply. I don't know if it's realistic, but it was like a game within the game of how do you assign your supply? How do you assign certain units to certain headquarters so you could give them a decent amount of supply so they could fulfill their mission? That's the game within the game. They must have had to air it out if they aren't washing their backsides. Yeah, these are some dirty bastards. There's no doubt about it. These guys are some dirty bastards that, they only wash if they get caught in the rain at the wrong time, An army you can smell before you ever see them. I have one of those. So a lot of games came out during the time that I didn't have a computer. Between 2008 and just before the pandemic, I didn't have a computer I could use at home for play video games on. So a lot of games like, Men of War and those type of things with individual soldiers, I'm like, oh, cool, I'll play the demo, and now they're really cheap. And I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool, except these vehicles weren't available at this time. Like, why am I using T-3485s in a curse scenario? I'm like, I'm out. If you start seeing shit like that, I'm like, tap out. I can't do that. But it's just inspiration to do the figure painting stuff, because I don't ever see myself like, I'm not going to paint anymore. I'm just going to play video games. There's always something in a video game you're like, I've had enough of this. This it doesn't seem right, Almost always. What's those games that came out? Steel Division. Steel Division came out before I had a computer, and I'm like, oh man, this is like moving little micro armor guys. And then it's like, I've only seen the game played. It's too much like you're being rushed all the time. Like, you go over here, you can't appreciate seeing the little tank cross the hedgerow because you're getting pulled over here for something else. And I'm like, I don't really like that. It's a little too rushed for my taste. Too much like work. But they do look cute. But Tunisia's kind of a forgotten area. Italy's a forgotten area. For wargaming. But I remember seeing that scenario, and I'm like, oh, that'd be pretty cool to do. To build that much stuff for it. But I really enjoyed Close Combat a lot. And I played it quite a bit. Not a long time, but I played it quite a bit. I just don't care for the Market Garden one. And it's not because it's Market Garden. They've redone it. I bought all of them for it was like $50 for like 7 of them. And they redid 4 of them in the new method. And I might try the Market Garden. I don't like that you could customize your force to your heart's desire. I like the fact that sometimes you get issued stuff that you don't know what to do with, and you just gotta persevere that way. Good morning, Joe. So I like that, you can't just buy a bunch of tanks. Sometimes you got to make do with things that you get handed. You get handed a less than ideal recipe and you got to make a souffle out of it. Battle souffle. I was trying to find out what the name of that one game was that I saw a couple of years ago. It reminded me a lot like Panzer Leader, the scale that it was. And it's like Nations at War or something like that. Like, what would you call a World War II tactical game that's like on a company and battalion level? Nations at War. I mean, Nations at War could be anything. It could be like Europa Universalis to, it could be all kinds of stuff. It's not very title specific. Well, what makes a war game for me interesting is when there's lots of meaningful decisions that you have to make from time to time. Not just like, all right, I've done my best, hit autopilot and see what happens. When you're constantly being asked for input. One of the coolest games, I love that Drive on Moscow and the Battle of the Bulge games because, the mechanic they have there for how much time passes between each time you give an order is a real press your luck mechanisms. I really like that. Those are fun games that I've played a lot. I played them on console, but they're also available on computer. I've played them a lot. Not in a while, mind you, but wish they had made more stuff on there for that. But a lot of playtesting, I think, went into that because they're a lot of fun to play from all four sides. Meaning both games from either side. They're challenging. Okay, I'm gonna be right back, but I need to check on something. And we'll be back in a few. Hence, that. Okay. We are up. Yes. The last light horse guy for making 8 stands. We already got 5 completely done. This will be 3. So after we're done with him, we are going to base these guys, and then we just have the command stand, which we could start looking at who's going to be the 3 guys, which is going to be the White Hun General, Standard Bearer, and some other dude. Some random person. Probably not a good place for that. Just saying, probably not a good place for that. Man. Something I almost never have to do. Blow my nose. Dust, maybe? No. One of them things. Well, it won't be Attila. It'll be whoever this guy is. We got a special thing for Attila. We'll have a special. We'll have them. The most Attila-looking leader will be Attila. As I've got lots of medium cavalry. Technically, it would be the heavy cavalry, but they don't look any different. I mean, some of them have some chainmail on them, but the horses look the same. They're all barren-looking horses. Well, we got lots of medium cavalry to do the cav stands for. So, even with 3 different generals, having a White Hun general, an Attila general, and then a Xiongnu, because all 3 will have different banners. Although we're going to finish these guys, and then we're not going to paint any 15s for a little bit. Oh, I shouldn't say we're not going to paint any 15s for a little bit. I want to do some tanks. I want to do some World War II tanks. Because I still need to paint 2 more stands of Light Horse after this for all the versions of this. But Attila and those that drink out of skulls. The skull drinkers, skull cup drinkers. Let's get some of this so we can close this. All right, let's close this. We shouldn't need any more of this anymore. What session is the secret game that you're going to be running, Joe, at the con? I think you said it was Friday morning. It's either Friday morning or Saturday morning, I think you said. Hopefully it's Saturday morning. I think they should put Secret and all that stuff in like the main room, or not the main room, but somewhere where people can walk by and see it. Because I think if you don't know it's there, nobody's going to come check those games out. They're just kind of in a forgotten place. I mean, if you're trying to get more viewers, I mean, I appreciate it being quiet, but that main room can get too much noise from too many different places, for sure. Let's take some of this. Let's give this a good cleaning. Get some of this dry paint out. Stuff works actually really well. Just got to be kind of patient. Let's move this out. We still got some more there. I think I've been getting more buildup since I've been using this thinner, which doesn't make any sense logically. I think I'd get less, but it's just one of those things. I'm just going to have to clean the brushes more often because that thinner really helps to control the flow of what you're doing. That's better. All right. As we were. Okay. I think that's probably going to be good. All right, I wanted to give him some white poofy pants. And he's got some kind of a shirt hiding underneath there. Whitish poofy pants. They were originally whitish, and then, he didn't ever wash them. Stains happen. We're going to give this guy some green straps, but we need to do something a little bit more green so that it'll actually look green when I'm done with it. Let's see what we have here is let me start off with something that's going to look way too bold. Intermediate green. It's going to look way too bold, but this isn't going to be the end color. Because the first thing we're going to do is we're going to mix this with black. And then that's when we're going to pick the actual starting tone. Got these little bits of dust. And they stand out because they're like blue. Against the white background, they look blue. Be able to be done with these guys by the convention, and might be tempted to do something different. I mentioned this before. The one thing that's really good about the internet is they have pictures of everything you can get. So I personally, at least, am not tempted to get something just to see what it looks like inside the package, because somebody's done an unboxing on it. Maybe that's counterintuitive, but I think that having pictures of stuff, it kind of lessens the excitement value of buying things, because I happen to like to unbox things, and I like to watch other people unbox things, so it keeps you from buying things just to see I wonder what it looks like. I wonder what it looks like. You don't have to worry about that anymore. You could watch a video on someone opening. They don't have everything, but they have lots of things. Okay, this is probably as green as it's going to get. I'm going to start adding white to this afterwards. We don't want it bright green. These guys aren't focused on that. There we go. Yeah, maybe a little bit more. Maybe a little bit more than that. Well, it pops nicely. Okay. Now we got to do the harnesses around the face of this horse. Okay. How we doing? 2 viewers. This one and that one. This one or this one? All right, let's do it. Let's get us an off-white for his pants. It's got something like the skeleton bone. 100% match to color primer. I doubt it. I don't think that thing works that way. I don't know. My idea of using a spray can for primer is like, those days are over. You can't get into places. And in order to get in certain places, you're going to get too much paint in other places, so. I'm not really a fan of that. Okay, a little bit there. A little bit here. Been having a lot of trouble staying awake lately. I'm not sleeping enough, but sleeping's a waste of time. Can't get any painting done sleeping. Pants of like a genie. They're nice and poofy. You poofy panted Hun. Okay. All right, this guy's got a shirt underneath his cloak, fur cloak. I feel like using a Games Workshop color. I feel like using a Games Workshop color. And I feel like using a Games Workshop color that I haven't used very much. A new one. And I'm looking at this color right here. Hobgrut Hide. Holy Harry Potter, Batman. And this is interesting. It says manufactured by Games Workshop Limited in Nottingham. Represented by Games Workshop Limited Irish branch in Dublin. Is that all of them? Yeah. There's a special Irish division. They still fighting about stuff. Good Lord. Yeah. It's not going to end up being like this, but yeah, this will work because the cloak's going to be dark. My neck was hurting more doing the models than this. How's this? I actually think these paints are actually going to work. It's crazy. These MIG paints that are very watered down. I think I'm actually going to be able to make them work. Yeah, this is the test bed. I'm not completely done, but and don't look at the inside of the vehicle. It has no weathering on it yet. I think it's got potential. Just got to give it some TLC and some time, and yeah. Hey, paint is paint, no matter who it is. Ireland for tax purposes, no doubt. So taxes in Ireland are better than. I remember just before the pandemic, Ireland had just taken off, like, growing, and then. I'm honestly surprised that they drive on the British side of the road in Ireland. I would have thought that they wouldn't do that. I like how nobody likes taxes. Everybody that comes in doesn't like taxes. Maybe just all the smart people come over here. I don't mind taxes. I just, it bothers me to see, government incompetence. And there's private industry incompetence too, but, you're not paying taxes for them. They spend things poorly, so why give people that spend poorly more money? All right, we got some of that. Like a German Panzer yellow kind of colorish type thing. I like this. It's got less green in it for that. All right, let's start making a green then. You know what? I'm not going to use black as the darkener. Let's get that SS Camo Brown. That softens the color a little bit. We don't need very much of it. Are the taxes worse than the? I guess they're the same if they're in Scotland. I was going to say Scotland or the rest of the. The Hun. Not neighbors you want to have. I said you probably could smell them before you could see them. They're coming. They're on the back side of the hill, but I can smell them. I could smell them all over my own stink. I picked up a Games Workshop stuff in a store in Jacksonville. About a year ago, maybe it was more than a year ago. And it was some Tufts from Games Workshop. And Games Workshop stuff's expensive for multiple reasons. One of the big ones is, advertising. They got a lot of overhead. They got to cover that stuff. But these Tufts were freaking made in China. I'm like, I'm not buying them. I didn't buy them. And they were cool looking Tufts, but why am I paying Games Workshop prices for something made in China? Oh, they didn't get bought. Okay, it looks like there's inklings of maybe the shirt down there. So let's do some of that now before later on it's a bigger problem. Another rainy ass day. Well, at least it'll be cooler. I really haven't taken a look at much of the cavalry figures. So I look forward to taking a look at those figures before, so I can decide who the lucky three are going to be on the stand. The lucky three. Okay. Okay. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. I'm gonna go get myself some water. I'll be right back. Hey, paint is paint no matter who it is. Oh, you already said that. It sounded like something new. Paint doesn't care about gender. Oh. Okay. Okay, we got faces to do on this guy. We got his spear. Cloak. The cloak. All right. I got to figure out who's going to be the other three guys. I still got to do it anyways. Let's figure out who's going to be on the command team. All right, I should have all this stuff readily accessible. Might find some Byzantines in here. All right, these guys are light horse guys. Okay, these guys have chainmail, so these are heavies, so to speak. That's what we're interested in at this moment. These are just horses from the Byzantine stuff. Okay, these are the horses from the Forged in Battle, so we'll need them. These guys are light horse guys that have pole weapons. Okay, so those aren't really interested in them right now. The hell are these guys? Oh, they're Armenians. Got it. And a couple light horse guys in there. Whatever. Okay, so the light horse, the medium cavalry guys for Gladiator are not in here. So we know we have these. Let's put these back. Let's put. Well, we're gonna have to get horses for whatever the guys are doing. All right, let's. It's these and then the Gladiator medium guys. Thought they were together. They're not. Man, I gotta take a leak. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so we're gonna need to get these. Let's get. This is the Gladiator stuff. What do we got here? That's Spearman. That's Spearman. That's for the war bands. Okay, I'm pretty sure this stuff is separated. Okay, those guys are heavies. Oh, that's a cool thing. That's a cool thing. Hun Cavalry Command. Hun Heavy Cavalry. Okay, these are light horse gladiator guys like the ones I've already painted. So we're not interested in them right now. We're not interested in the warband. Okay. Here's 2 baggage camels that I'm going to do for the camp, but who knows if I'm going to get around to doing that. That's a low priority. Hey, I got the camp done, but the rest of the army isn't done. Bad fit. But we will keep them out here because they don't need to be hiding. Why are you hiding? Okay, so we got these guys here. Let's take a look at this, because these are actually 3, and I don't know, I must have gotten these from somebody. These are Elaine Toulaire figures, and he used to make figures for Attila. So this is probably the commander I'm going to use actually for Attila. These guys aren't available anymore. So I'm probably going to use him for the Attila figure. And you know, they come with separate horses. I don't love their horses, but... And he's got the... Look at this. Oh, look at this. This is cool. He has... I had just noticed this. He has the... what do you call it? The oxtail banners. And it's got 3 of... Yak tail. Sorry, yak tail. And... Let's see if I can get this to come out on video. It has a skull at the top. It has a skull. I get it to come out. I just don't want to tinker with that. That just takes a lot of time. So we got a skull on top of that and the standard bearer. So these guys are probably going to get used in the Attila stand. So here's my Attila guy. And it's literally is him from Elaine Toulaire. So we're not going to put him too far away. We'll put him up here with the Hun stuff. All right, so that's going to be the commander for the Attila stuff. What else do we have here? This is Hun Heavy Cavalry 1402, and this is Hun Cavalry Command 1401, and this is 1403 Hun Medium Cavalry. Now, what the hell is the difference? All right? We're about to find out. We're about to find out. These guys have this pose. What is he armed with? Almost looks like I may have to put like a javelin or some shit like that on him. He's got chainmail. Are these all the same pose? No, this guy's slightly different. Man, they're really close. They're slightly different. This guy's got a cape, and this guy's got the same type of thing. Okay, cool. All right, so this guy's different. Only one guy with a cape. These are all the same pose. Only one guy is different. I wonder if he's even in the right place. Well, let's put, these are different guys, so let's put them one each out. Let's bag these guys back up. How I feel about putting a javelin in some guy's hand this late in the game. All right, Hun Heavy Cavalry. Too small a bag. Okay, and this, okay, this guy is the same pose as him. And these are all the same pose. So that one bag was all of these. This guy should have been with these guys. Okay, so that's the 2 separate poses that I have at this moment. Hun Cavalry Command. I bet there's only going to be one different in here, and it's going to be the leader. That's this guy with a butter knife. I say butter knife because look how short it is. Okay, so he's definitely a candidate. We have a separate horse here. Interesting. Okay, and here's a Hun banner bearer with only one yak tail. He must go with that horse. What's this guy here? This guy is the same as this heavy one because he's got a cape. This guy is the same as this one, a banner bearer with the one thing. Another butter knife guy. Another one that's the same as that. Not a lot of poses in these guys. Another guy is the same. All right, so we've got these two, and this is a guy that I found in my Mongols. Okay, this is a museum Mongol figure that I was just kind of searching around, and he's got multiple yak tails. I don't think we need to use him. We can save him for Mongols because we got enough guys with standards. Maybe. I'll leave him out just for yucks. We'll put all this stuff back in here. So the Attila stand's pretty much taken care of. We need one for the Xiongnu, and we need one for these white Huns. So this is an individual. These are all different poses. I'll even leave them there. Okay. So now we have the heavier cavalry for forged in battle, and these guys come with command. So there's a commander in here. But we'll see what this guy ends up looking like. You know, they're totally compatible with them. This is a bareheaded guy, and these guys all have chainmail. These guys all have chainmail. Now, the Xiongnu, if I remember correctly, the Xiongnu have a cavalry commander plus 2 others, whereas these guys only have, the White Huns only have 1 cav stand. So the fact that I have lots of these guys that look, see this guy, it looks almost more Eastern looking. This guy is definitely a candidate for one of the cavalry stands for the Xiongnu, okay, because he's more Eastern looking. And that's the spin I'm putting it on it. Okay. I'm looking to see where the commander is for this guy. All right, here he is. Here's a commander for that. And there's a little horn blowing guy. Yeah, there's only 1 commander. But there's actually a commander in the light horse stand as well. But I think one of the Hun armies can actually have a light horse commander, so we'll save him for that. So the question becomes, do we want to use... Oh, and here's a yak tail guy with a bunch of yaks. Yak tail. But I want these guys to have a banner, so let me think about this for a second. There's a specific banner I want these guys to have. White Huns, huh? All right, so which general am I going to use for them? Am I going to use this guy with a butter knife? Am I going to use this guy? Because the other one's the Xiongnu. I think I'm going to save him for the Xiongnu. I think he looks more Asian. And looks pretty freaking cool. So we're going to save him for the Xiongnu as a commander. I don't need a guy blowing the horn just yet. We'll save him for that as well. And regardless of whether or not I'm going to replace this guy's thing, I'm going to leave him for the command. All right, so do we want any... This guy's already has a shield. I could put the white Hun symbol on him, and I don't have to do a banner. Or I could replace this guy and give him the banner. How bendy is this? I've got 2 of these figures, so if I screw this up, it's not the end of the world. Well, I think regardless, we're going to use him with the banner guy on here. We're not going to use him. We're going to use this commander, I guess, because he has a big shield in it. And then the question is, what other guy am I going to have with him? And I kind of want to put a Forged in Battle guy, just so you have a variety of different things. And there's multiple of these guys. I think that's what we're going to do. And then let's grab a horse for these folks. This has tufts, this has tufts, this one does not. Let's see if we can find a horse that has tufts on it. Here's one. Here's another. Let's do that. Okay. So he will ride this horse. Okay. And all 3 of these guys have helmets. I'm sorry, all 3 of these guys have helmets. Yeah. Yep, I think that's what we use for the command for the white Huns. What's that? Horses, and then these guys are all... Nordic miniature painting, welcome. These guys are a mix of Forged in Battle and Gladiator games. This whole army is a mixture of those 2 things. 50-50. I had lots of Gladiator games, guys. I could have done this whole army just with Gladiator games. And I picked up some Forged in Battle guys for variety, and they're damn near my favorite figures. But Forged in Battle just showed up too late. You know, they showed up, you know, after I have all these other figures. And yeah, so this is the last light horse for the white Huns. And then we've got a command stand to do for the white Huns. And army's done. So, yeah. Oh, I found a good way to open this thing. Sealed's too good on this. So now we've picked those guys up. Now we can sleep easily. We can go back to finishing this guy. Don't know those too well. Yeah, I'm not. They've been around. They've been around for a little bit. Let's grab the coat d'armes, this color. I like to use this color for boots. Not every boot, but I like doing several boots in this color. All right, let's. Add this on it, and where's the magic liquids? I think it's this side that has the stuff in it. Nope. Nope, it's behind the door number 3. So maybe I will do the oxtail banner on it. Maybe I'll do that one in white. That way it'll be white Huns. I don't care if everybody else has all the little plumes in black. That's pretty much what it is, but that'll help remind me. Which is the white Hun commander? The one that has the white tail banner. Supposedly the reason they're called white Huns is they're more European looking, less Asian. Well, who knows if that's going to stick? Maybe in 10 years, be like, no, they called something else, you know. But I got enough cool different commanders. This is a piece of flash that I missed. I got enough cool looking commanders that I could stand to make three different of them, and be all right with it. But the Xiongnu is definitely the army that has the most heavy cavalry, so to speak. They've got 3 stands of cav. I think it's a commander and 2 others. Attila only has his stand. I think he can have an Ostrogoth ally or something like that, but he's got no cavalry. The White Huns have no cavalry, so to speak. It's all light horse for them. So all of the light horse for all the other armies will be communal. It'll be the same. So I'll have the same light horse that are in the Xiongnu. The same light horse will be in the Attila's army, and the same light horse will be in the White Huns. There's no reason to differentiate between all those. They'd all be the same figures anyways, and should work just fine. You're painting War Master silver helms up. Also cavalry, not really historical like the Huns, but uh-oh. Okay, so I'm being called for breakfast, to go on a breakfast run, so that's going to be a wrap for this one. I've got to get this guy done today so that we can do the basing and move on from him, because I literally have just a handful of days until the convention.